All right, welcome back. Today I'm going to do a video on a week in my shoes. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what I do every day. Today is Monday. We're going to start with Monday, and we're going to go through the weekend. I'm not going to record at my job because I'm not allowed, and that's just not really part of what this channel is about. But I'm going to show you what I do, or a little bit of what I do every day, Monday through Saturday. So today we're going to be doing this. The Horizon is going outside because I have to get the Tundra in here because I have to change the oil, and I have a heat shield that's been rattling. Try to figure out what that is and fix that. So that's the first step. But in order to get the Horizon out, you gotta get all of this away. And no, I'm not doing the snap your fingers and it's all gone. I think that's weird. But I gotta move some stuff around to get the Horizon back on the ground. Oh, not only that, I made a mistake. I can admit my mistakes. We all do them. Some people can admit to them, some people cannot. I can. We sold a belt splash shield for an L body Omni, and whatever reason, I'm not even don't have an excuse other than the fact I just screwed up. I shipped the wrong belt splash shield, and I can't talk either, to the customer. So, a couple week or so, whatever, goes by, and they message me, hey, got the wrong one. So, so I double checked. Sure enough, I made a mistake. So I pulled the correct one off the inventory, ended the listing this way until I can get everything straight, boxed it up, on its way to them. They were okay with that. Not a big deal. Well, 3 weeks goes by and they were like, hey, it never showed up. So I'd done a lot of deep digging in our eBay store. Well, we had two splash shields sell within a few days of each other. And if you haven't figured it out by now, I shipped the correct one to the wrong person. So now the correct one is in Canada, and shipping it back and would take a long time, and it's going to be, cost us a lot of money. Not only that, I have to ship it back to the original buyer. And so far the original buyer has been really cool with this, so I'm very thankful for that. We offered them their money back and whatnot. But anyways, they said they don't want their money back. They're in no rush. Just, when we get them the right part, send it to them. So the right part is up in here. If it's not broken, we're going to find that out. So I'm going to get the Horizon back on its rear wheels. Hopefully they hold air long enough. They're holding air still, or long enough to at least get it out of the garage, get all the junk in behind it moved, and get it pulled back a little bit so I have a little bit more room in the front, and get underneath it and try to pull that belt splash shield. It is not the one that goes up and over the fender, but it is the one that goes below the belts. If that's good and I can get it apart, that'll be put off to the side for a little bit, and then it will ship tonight when I go in the house, and hopefully all is well. Hopefully I send it to the correct person. Things happen. You're running a business. It doesn't happen often. A couple times a year I make a mistake like this, which to some that's a lot, but I'm one person doing this by myself. So in order to keep everything straight, hey, things happen. So anyway, that's the plan tonight. If I can accomplish this out, the splash shield off, this all gone, that oil change done, and splash shield done, or heat shield, rattle, whatever it is, done, then I plan on, maybe, if I have time, who knows, hooking up the trailer. Of course, then I have to pull the trailer out and back it back in, but hooking up to this thing, getting it on the trailer, getting it in the garage, so it's ready to go. It's supposed to rain tomorrow and the day after. I'd like to get all of this accomplished before the rain comes, so that this ugly eyesore, smelly thing can be in the garage and done, and get so I can get started on it. So that's the plan. And remember, I'm one person. I got to do all this by myself. So let's get busy. Let's get get done, we can get done. And we'll see what tomorrow's video, we'll see what I've accomplished and how far along we got. Okay, day 2 in a week in my shoes. It is Tuesday, and it is 4:41 p.m. I'm getting a late start today because my wife had an appointment, and we just got back from that. So we're not going to be out in the garage taking any cars apart tonight. Probably just going to work on some of these parts that are laying around and try to get working on getting some new inventory listed and some of these totes emptied out, etc., etc. But I am going to take you to the garage because I am going to show you what we got accomplished yesterday. You ever have those days where you just like, you're not into it? Today's one of them days. I got a headache. Starting to stress out about Carlisle coming up Saturday. This coming Saturday is going to be a very long day. I'm not going to tell you what's going on until Saturday because that'll be part of this this video series. So it's also dreary and gray and raining yet again, but that's all right. We're not going to sit here and dwell on it. We're just going to keep moving, keep pushing, and we're going to go back downstairs after I do this and work on some parts. Something to do. I'm not one to really just sit around and do nothing. I can't just sit and stare at TV. I can't, however, play Call of Duty for a long time. So trying to keep the business up and going and, you know, keep these things moving, I have to refuse myself to not go in there and sit down and play Call of Duty. Anyways. Yes, the Lebaron is in the garage. So here it sits. Surprisingly, the garage doesn't smell any worse than it did before it came into the garage. So that's good. It was a task getting it loaded. Not terribly difficult, but this tire's flat again, and so is the right front. The left rear, the donut tire, was flat. Didn't worry about it because it's so skinny. But I had to put air in these two just to get it on the trailer. And then getting it into the garage, it actually rolled in here very easily. And I was kind of worried about whether or not it would be too far to one side or another. And it's actually lined up right about where I would put it anyways. Because remember, we have no keys, so we have no steering. I could have taken this column or any of the other columns we have laying around here and swapped it out. But it worked out just fine the way it was. Last night, I also got the oil changed in my truck and found out what the rattling noise has been. It was the heat shield on the catalytic converter, so I took care of that. And then I also had a little bit of time to mess with this some. I got the AC lines off and the compressor off. All that's got to come off anyway, so I just went ahead and did it. And then the belts are all off. The alternator spins, but boy, it's got a bind-up spot. My concern is the water pump does not spin. So the plan is to get this apart a little further and get a bolt or a socket on the crank and see if this engine's even froze up. I'm really hoping it's not froze up, because if it's not froze up, then we have a buyer for it. If it is froze up, I probably do not have a buyer for it. So fingers are going to be crossed that it is not locked up. I'm sure as he is watching this video, he is also waiting to find out if this engine is locked up or not as well. So this is day 2, like I said earlier. Haven't really gotten a whole lot done. I'm going to go down here, like I said, and work on getting some parts cleaned up and pictures taken. I can always list them at a later time, but the goal is to get the pictures done and the parts tagged and then put away, and then I can list them at a later date. So not a lot happening tonight. Unfortunately, there's 0 sales today. I hate those days. Makes you, my mind start thinking, is this worth it to keep putting this much energy and effort into it? But then thankfully my wife, you know, gives me a hug and says, you're doing fine, etc., etc. And again, very thankful to have her. So, I'm not going to bore you with everything else. We'll quit babbling and get busy. We'll see you tomorrow. So I did forget something. So yesterday we got a delivery in the mail, and we now have new magnets. Look at there. We have an 84 Turbo Z an 86, I believe, Turbo Z, a couple of Omnis, and a Lebaron. Surprisingly, we haven't had a shadow yet. Nobody has sent us the pictures of their shadow. So we send the card in the mail, and or the letter, little note with every part we sell. And these are the cars that we've received pictures and information on. So these are the cars that have had magnets made. So if you're watching this and you've bought parts from us and you saw that little card and you want to have your car pictured in a magnet, you need to send us pictures. So it might be a little while yet before we reorder more, because there are 50 of each. So there's 300 magnets. So that's 300 shipments. Well, minus 6, because I keep one of each for myself, and they're going to go in my toolbox. So anyways, keep that in mind when you're buying parts off of us. If you get a magnet and you get a little note saying thank you, etc., shoot us an email. Let us know what you think. Send us your car. We'll look into putting it on a magnet. Day number 3 of a week in my shoes. Getting started late tonight. It's almost 7 o'clock actually. But took my wife down to put flowers on her mom's headstone. So we just got back home from that and ate some dinner. And now I'm down here shipping parts. We had 4 sales today. Nothing super like ooh and on, but it's okay. A sale's a sale. I'll take what we get. And I'm thankful, that we have those that trust us to buy our parts from us. Other than that, it's not a lot going on. It's been gloomy, rainy, gray, crappy outside all day. And like I said, I haven't been home. I had to work this morning. Got home and we got around and headed out and did all of that. So kind of a slow night tonight. I'm going to finish this up, shipping these parts, and go upstairs and call it an evening. I did get some work done down here last night. This still looks like a disaster, this pile, but the pile was actually over to here. So I got some of that cleaned up. Process of getting that stuff listed. It's all photographed and put away and whatnot, but it needs to be listed yet. So next week I'm off, so I have to work tomorrow, and then I don't go back until the 2nd. Last night made a phone call, and what I thought was going to be a busy week of working around here, trying to get stuff done and ready for Carlisle, and trying to get things cleaned up. 2 parts cards completed and done. I was hoping to get that done. Anyways, we received an email a few weeks back in regards to some cars. I'm not going to talk about the cars. I'm going to tell you about what happened. And I kind of put it off to the side. And finally, my wife, she was like, just call the people and talk to them and see what they say. So I did. Well, we now have 3 more parts cars coming, which isn't a big deal. I'm grateful for that. Problem is, they are 2.5 hours away one way. So that is 15 hours of road time that will be taking place probably in the next week. Maybe my next week's video on Sunday, because somebody requested it on Sunday. You're welcome. I'm trying. Next video on Sunday, maybe, will be about these cars, and we'll go from there. So it's going to be a long week next week, longer than I was anticipating. Said I was planning on sticking around here at the house most of the week and getting things done. But as a business, when opportunity comes, you take the opportunity and you go with it. This stuff that's here can wait another week if I have to. So with that said, get this stuff shipped, get upstairs, and call it a night. All right, day 4. Today is Thursday. Today was my last day at work for the next 10 days or whatever. I had to go back the 2nd. So hopefully, as I've said before, we can get some of this stuff done between now and the time I go back. If we don't, it's not the end of the world. I'm trying to get ahead of the game and trying to get ahead of Carlisle, because as I've said before, it is fast approaching. As you can tell, we are in the basement. We have four or five, 1, 2, 3, 4 things plus another thing. So we got 5 items to ship tonight. So we sold a belt splash shield to a gentleman, and in my my mistake, I shipped the wrong one. So they contacted us, and the correct one was still here. Well, unfortunately, I shipped that one to the wrong person. So that was a major error. Luckily, fortunately for us, they have been very patient. So we have now what I believe is the correct one, and we're going to ship that to them. Of course, it's on our dime. We're not going to charge them anything extra. That would be foolish. And then the one that went to the wrong person actually ended up in Canada, and shipping that back to us would just be more, by the time we paid to ship it there and then ship it back, it would be more than it's worth to ship it back and then try to relist it. So we just told them they can keep it. They have an Omni as well, so maybe in the future they can utilize it, and it's on us. So unfortunately, I don't like when that happens, but sometimes, I am human. Sometimes things happen, especially when you're dealing with this many parts. I would love to find a different way of keeping track of inventory. I did spend weeks back during the winter and tried to condense like items. So like all of our splash shields are in one area. Looking here, I got like all of our engine computers in one area. So try to keep that stuff close together, if not necessarily in the same tote, but in the tote next to it, or within a general vicinity of each other. Sometimes that didn't work out because we had more of that type of item than we had totes for. One of the things I do try to keep separated is harnesses, just because they're bigger, and sometimes the tag might get torn off. So I do try to keep those in their own tote with other parts. So anyways, enough rambling. We are going to, once I finish up out here, the next segment of this will be in the garage. We're going to work on the Lebaron coupe, and we're going to see if that engine is locked up. I don't foresee us being able to use the starter. I don't know. My buddy's going to come over here in a little bit, and we're going to tinker with it and see if we can figure it out. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So I believe that as a society as a whole, things have kind of went downhill. But there are still good people. Story here. So we sold an item, and we shipped it to the correct address, and everything went fine. However, today we received an email from a random person that, said, hey, somebody bought this item off of you, and it was delivered to my house, and I don't know what you want me to do with this. So anyway, long story short, we emailed back and forth. We found out that the person who has the item lived about 10 minutes away from the person who was supposed to have the item. So the delivery company delivered it to the wrong house, and they said, well, I will take it to them and drop it off at their house. So thank you. I'm sure you'll never see this video. Maybe you will, but we greatly appreciate, your your honesty, because we have had that happen in the past, and buyers have never even said a word. So back, another little story. Years ago, when we first started doing this, we would have to do things different on a printer, and I would have to type in like what the item was. So let's say I sold a Hot Wheels Mustang. So I would type in Hot Wheels Mustang. Well, what I found out was later on we would sell another Hot Wheels Mustang. Well, for some reason, the printer reverted back to the original Hot Wheels Mustang. It wouldn't override it for some reason. So what happened was that second Hot Wheels Mustang got shipped to the original person, and the second person never received it, so we had to refund them money. And so, but the first person who got the second one never said a word to us. They could have said, hey, I got this by mistake, and we could have handled it a different way. But unfortunately, not everybody's 100% honest, and it is what it is. So, but anyhow, let me get this stuff shipped, get that done, and we'll go out to the garage, and we'll work on some stuff out there. Well, back out in the garage, got everything shipped and gone. You picked all of it, be picked up tomorrow. Sometimes when normally when I'm shipping UPS or FedEx, I I can take it to work and, you know, they'll pick it up right there. Unfortunately, me being off, that means that the one item going UPS, I have to now take up to the local hardware store here in town. Sorry, trying to move stuff to the hardware store here in town, and they'll ship it. So get the trunk open on this thing so I can try to get the taillights off maybe tonight, and get the trunk cleared out so that I can just start filling it up with more delicious, wonderful junk. The wheels and tires that were on this car are going to stay with the car. We're allowed 4 tires every time you take a car across the scale. So we're going to end up keeping the right front because that's a pizza. The rest of them will go inside the car wherever I can find a home for them. So again, like I said a little bit ago, my buddy is on his way over. We are going to attempt to get this engine to roll over, even if just by hand, that's fine. But we're going to see if this engine is even froze up. I know, like I said yesterday or the other day, I know the water pump is. Fingers crossed that we can at least get it to roll over. So while I'm waiting on him, I'm going to go ahead and pull all the plugs just to ease the compression, and probably go ahead and get the radiator out, radiator fan off, and start, you know, removing some of the stuff that's going to come off anyways. But it's easy enough that I can do real quick. So let's get started. Well, today is Friday. In the week in my shoes video here, let me make my way across to what we were doing last night. So as you know, this garage is a disaster. I'm not going to show you again because you've already seen it. So anyway, my buddy came over last night and we spent time working on this Lebaron. And as I'd mentioned earlier, I had this engine sold under, you know, conditions of it at least turning over. So we could not get it to turn over. So we put a little bit of transmission fluid in it and let it soak for, you know, a few hours, which I know, you know, it's probably not long enough. But anyways, still wouldn't move over. So we decided to pull the head. Let's pull the cylinder head and let's see what it looks like inside. And yeah, it's ugly. So, but the head is off. We fought it. We ended up snapping one of the head bolts, which in all my years of working on these, I've never broken a head bolt on one of these. But you're going to see why it broke the head bolt. I had pulled the plugs. The plugs actually looked new, except for one. One had some corrosion on it, and we suspect that it was moisture, and that's part of the problem. So in Chrysler's genius ideas on this, there's a bracket that goes from the turbo down to the block. And we have to get that bracket off in order to get the head off. So we were underneath it. We got it in the air on jack stand, and we're underneath it, and the bolt's coming all the way out. And it literally needed another turn to come completely out, but it was hitting the axle. So we fought with that, and we, you know, a little bit, and we got it. We finally accomplished it, and we got it done. Then the head was stuck. When normally with these things, you know, you can put a pry bar on one of the corners and yeah, it'll pop right off. Well, this one was stuck. So we fought with it for another, I don't know, 20 minutes, whatever. But we finally accomplished. The head's off, and I'm going to show you what we discovered. Now, keep in mind, the pink that you're going to see was transmission fluid. That is not part of anything that was in the engine prior to us getting it. But all the rest of the stuff that you're about to see was not transmission fluid, and it was not, I'm trying to find a screwdriver, was not what we expected. So the pink, like I said, is transmission fluid, but this is the top of number 2, and that screwdriver will go in there quite a ways. There is just full of, I don't even want to know what. But number 1 is rusted really bad around the cylinder wall, and it's you know, it's bad. It's bad. It's not good. It's no good. This engine is probably most definitely not fixable. And looking at number 1 here with the light, trying to show you, it's even clear full of God only knows what. So I don't know what that stuff is. I'm not going to mess with it. It's going to sit in here and it's going to live here. This was underneath the head. This is aluminum, corroded aluminum all the way down there. Number 3 cylinder is full of more of this junk, and I would assume number 4 is as well. So the next plan is to go ahead and pull the engine and transmission, and we're going to pull the oil. We're going to drain the oil, pull the oil pan, and try to disconnect the rods from the crank and get the crankshaft out one way or another, get the transmission off of this thing, and then we're going to try to drive the cylinders through the bottom in order to save the rods. We're going to know more about that once we get the oil pan off. We didn't get that far. It was already almost 9 o'clock last night when we got this far, so we were both done. Keep in mind, we both have full-time jobs on top of this. So this is the bottom of the cylinder head. That is number 4, number 3, number 2, number 1. Number 1 is definitely the worst, but there is even junk up inside where the valves are. You can see all that falling out. That's all coming from behind the valves. And again, the pink stuff that you're seeing is transmission fluid. But up and behind this valve is just junk. This water jacket is plugged clear full, as is this one, as is this one. This is plugged. This is plugged. Not plugged, but they're full of stuff. That's full. This has got stuff in it here, stuff in it there, and then stuff in it here. So when we was cutting this hose, which is a turbo, the return hose for the turbo, get it in the picture, there was rust all over my cutting tool, and you can kind of see inside that it's got rust. So what we suspect happened was the car was sitting without the throttle body on it. The hood was closed, so I don't know how water would have gotten in there, but I'm not sure it was rainwater. I'm thinking that it was mouse urine. I think mouse urine ran down and ran through the turbo and filled up, who knows what else in here. The wastegate is stuck. I can't reach the impellers on the turbo, but I'm going to say this. They're probably froze too. So, with that said, this is going back in the car. My buddy's like, well, I'll save the exhaust manifold. No, this whole assembly is going right back in the car. I will keep maybe this heat shield if it's good. These are known to corrode or, get bad through the years. I might pull it, and I'll pull the injector harness and possibly the injector rail. The throttle body is full of gunk, full of mice, so I'm probably not going to keep the throttle body. I might pull the TPS off of it. I don't know. And the IAC, I can always test them. So anyway, that was last night. Today's Friday. What did we do today? Today we ran and ran and ran. We went to yard sales this morning, and it is almost 8 o'clock already now. We've been going all day. We came home this afternoon, and I took a nap. So it is what it is. But tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow's a long day. It's not going to be a fun day. Nothing sad's happening. It's just going to be a long day, and I already know it is. But I will discuss more about that in the morning, and I will explain to you tomorrow morning what we're doing. But for today, we haven't really worked on any cars. We shipped some parts. But other than that, that's it. So let's call it a night, and let's get back at this tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens. Well, good morning. Welcome to day 6 of our life in our shoes, a week in our shoes. It's early. It is 6:06 a.m. You can see we're in the old Tundra. We have a trailer behind us, but not the trailer you think. The car trailer's staying home. And we have a small, I don't know what it is, 4x8, whatever, 6x8, something like that, utility trailer. It belongs to my brother-in-law. Thank you for letting me borrow this. But we're on a road trip. Not really a road trip I want to do, but I'm going to do because my daughter is moving back to this area. The road trip is going to start in here and end up in Buffalo, New York, and then make its way back to this area. It is, as I said, 6 o'clock in the morning. I got to go fill up the truck, and then it is a 4.5 hour drive from here to their current home, and then it is a 5.5 hour drive from their current home to where they're moving to, and then it's another hour-ish drive to here. So grand total, I'm gonna have about 11 hours, maybe a little more, sitting in this seat today. Today's gonna be a long day, not only with all the driving, but then also with, you know, moving things. Yeah, I don't look forward to it. I haven't looked forward to it. I've known about this for a little while now, and I haven't looked forward to it at all, just because it's going to be a long day. But that's okay. She's my daughter, and, you know, I would do anything for her, so suck it up. Get the day going. Go get this thing filled up with fuel and hit the road, and we'll get back home eventually. It just might be late tonight, so it's all good. All right, let's get her done. Let's get her started. You can see the sun is not even really up yet, but the car trailer's staying. Windows are foggy. Car trailer's staying. We're taking the utility trailer. All right, so we're a few hours into the drive. Or I'm in a few hours into the drive because I'm by myself, and we have an open trailer and of course the truck bed, and been watching the weather, trying to keep an eye on the weather, and it didn't really say a high percentage chance of rain, like 10-20%. Well, as you can tell, the wipers are on, but we're still 2 hours away, a little under 2 hours away, so we might be all right by the time we get there. Currently in Erie, PA, and it's been just, look at the sky, just dark, gray, dreary for the last 4 or 5 days that we hit. We had a little bit of sunshine on our way up here today, but it was very short-lived, and it's just been like this the rest of the day. This entire week's been like this. It's 46 degrees, and we are at the end of May. This is just like fall weather to me. So anyway, we're going to roll through Erie and continue on. We are officially in New York, and we are about 1 hour and 30 minutes from our destination. I have my GPS set up to not take us on any toll roads, so we ran the interstate all the way to the end before it turned into tolls. Part of the reason why is because I'm cheap and don't want to spend the money, but it's not my trailer, and I'm sure that the fees, whatever, you pay more when you have a trailer and whatnot. So I don't want my brother-in-law to get a letter in the mail for tolls or whatever. I mean, I would take care of it, but I'll just take the more scenic route. So we're about 30 miles on this road. This is a 2-lane state highway, and it runs along Lake Erie. I can literally see Lake Erie. It's a couple hundred yards off to my left. I got the camera angled that way. You're probably not going to be able to see it, but there have been a few spots where I can see the lake for a split second or two. Lake Erie, I do like going to Lake Erie. We don't go very often, but I do like it. I've never really been to the Lake Erie on this end, other than what we're seeing now. I can only imagine what the houses on the left side of us, on the lake side, how much, you know, what their values are, just because of the lake access and views and whatnot. There's a lot of vineyards this way. I've been through here before, picking up parts a few years back, and man, there are vineyards all over the place. You can see them all off to the left or off to the right, and as far as the eye can see. Might have been able to see the lake there. We came up here a few years ago and bought parts, and we got, like I said, we went this route on the way back, I believe. But anyways, they were saying, the gentleman that we was at, where the car was, we was getting parts from, he was saying that on a clear day, they sat up high enough in elevation that you could see the lake from where we was at. But he said you could see Canada. I don't remember which town, which city, but one of the big cities. You could see that from their house. That's kind of cool. We couldn't see it that day because it was, you know, cloudy and overcast. All right, you're probably not going to see too much of it, so let's keep going, and we'll get there in a little bit. We're in a little town called Dunkirk, New York. I grew up near a town called Dunkirk, but not New York. You can see the lake off to the left. You're probably not going to see it in the videos because of the buildings and the houses, but in between them, you can get quick glimpses of it. There's like a marina or something there. Quaint little town, looks like. There's some of it, if you can see it. So ignore the GPS if it starts talking because I'm going the wrong directions.
Take the next right onto East Pine Street, then turn right onto North Ermine Street.
She's yelling at me.
In 300 feet, turn right onto Lakefront Boulevard.
I will.
Take the next right onto Lakefront Boulevard, then turn right onto North Ermine Street.
There's Lake Erie. I wanted to make this little detour to show you. You hear the waves crashing. I'd love to have one of these houses right here.
Turn right onto North Ermine Street.
You can actually see the water's brown closer, but the further out you get, it looks more blue. Pretty cool.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto North Martin Street.
All right. We'll turn right on North Martin Street.
Take the second right onto North Martin Street.
Okay. We're turning. All right, we're about 15 minutes away, probably less than that, but anyways, give you a little bit of a view of Buffalo. So, a couple years ago, my son and I did the Lemons Rally, and this was one of the final spots, was Buffalo. And if you see off the left, those towers, Mills or whatever, I think those are the same ones. They used to be General Mills, I believe, but I'm not sure if that's the exact ones. But we went, one of the places we found was towers like that, or mills, or whatever you want to call them, silos. Those aren't the same ones, but anyways, one's just like it that General Mills used to use many years ago, and it was pretty neat. Obviously it's dilapidated, and you know, they're run down, and it's kind of a shame because that was part of the history up here, but progress takes over and time marches on. of course, now it's going to start raining again. I hope that we can avoid this rain on the way back because I don't want their stuff to get wet. We may have to just stop and buy some tarps. I don't know. I should have rented a U-Haul trailer, apparently. Of course, maybe this is the rain that we ran through earlier and it's just passing over here, or I don't know. Imagine back in the day, this was a pretty cool city. I mean, it's still neat. Some of the places we saw during the rally was cool. I always wanted to come back and just haven't never had an opportunity. Might have been them silos that you saw off to the right. So I don't remember exactly which one. There's more up here on the right. One of those sets. There's a sailboat out on the lake. It'd be a cold day to be on the water. We're gonna cross this gigantic bridge. I think it's called the Skyway. Never been on this bridge. My daughter's calling me right now, but I'll have to call her right back once I get off the highway. It's a tall bridge. But this is fun in the wintertime. There's some big stadium like Key Bank Center. I don't know if maybe that's football or I don't know. We've been down here to the left. You can't see it in the video, unfortunately, because I didn't see it till just now. But there's some military ships and stuff there. That's
in a quarter mile, continue straight onto Delaware Avenue, Great Lakes Seaway Trail.
One of the places we stopped at on the rally, the finishing point, I think, was actually this Pearl Street Grill here on the right. That was where they had the final meetup.
Continue straight onto Delaware Avenue, Great Lakes Seaway Trail.
Alright, so it's still Saturday. It's 8:12 p.m. and I'm on my way back, taking this my daughter's stuff to her new house. I still have just over 2 hours to go. So it's going to be 10 o'clock before we get there. And then, of course, then we have to unload everything, and then it's an hour drive back to my house. But I wanted to show you Cleveland.
In half a mile, use the left 2 lanes to turn slightly left to stay on I-90 West, signs for I-71.
We're back up by Lake Erie again. So we drop down and then come back up to it around Cleveland. So we're going to go through downtown, I think.
Use the left 2 lanes to turn slightly left to stay on I-90 West, signs for I-71.
Believe it or not, traffic hasn't been too terrible.
Continue on I-90 West for 3 miles.
Up until here just recently. Tundra's been loving the gas today. I already filled it up twice. See all the bugs on the windshield. I think that's what happens when you get near the lake this time of the day. very tired. Very tired of sitting in this truck. Been going all day, but it is what it is. Let's keep moving. I'll be back to the house eventually.
In 2 miles, use the right 2 lanes to take the I-90 West exit toward Toledo.
Downtown's right. I don't know if I can get it or not. That's Cleveland Brown Stadium, I believe. I think. Maybe not. It might be the Indians. I don't know. Oh, it's Progressive Field. So that's where what are they called now? The Guardians? Indians? Guardians? I don't know. Whatever they are. I'm a Reds guy, so I don't pay attention. Alright. 2 hours to go. Let's get her done. So I wanted to show this. I don't know if you can hear it in the video, but there's so many bugs hitting the windshield, it sounds like rain. You can see how nasty the windshield is, and it don't matter. I can run the windshield wipers, and a few seconds later they're back. And wow, it's bad. I can't see much at all. So we may have to make another pit stop, find a gas station to clean this off. It literally sounds like rain. There's so many of them hitting the windshield. All right, today is day 7, Sunday. My phone looks like crap. All right, today's day 7, Sunday. It's early in the morning. Didn't get home till 12:30 last night. Back up at 7 o'clock to get going again. We got to move the washing machine to my stepson's house, get it down his basement, and then return the trailer. But yesterday you saw that I was neighbors mowing his yard, so bear with me. Saw that all the what sounded like rain splattering on the windshield. Well, this is what it was. Whole front of it. Now I cleaned the headlights, but the mirrors, up on the windshield, everywhere. Those are mayflies. I guess they're prominent up on Lake Erie this time of the year. So, yeah, it was a mess. The truck needs a bath. But we're gonna get this done, and then we're hoping to get stepson's Shelby Daytona out of storage so that we can get it to his house, and he can stop paying on the storage unit. So today's gonna be another busy day, but we're gonna get the work done. I'll update as we go. All right, so unsuccessful on the washer going to the basement. Long story, not going to get into it. It's not related to the channel. But we did get my stepson's Shelby Daytona home. So it's at the house. It has a starting issue. It wants to start randomly. Sometimes it won't start, sometimes it will. But it is home. We did get it started enough to get it at the house until we get a chance to look at it. It was in a storage unit, and he just bought his first house, and he has a garage. So he wants to obviously quit paying on the storage unit to save him some money. So that's the plan. That's why we got it over to the house, so that my buddy and I can try to determine what's wrong with it. The car was running great, and then it just randomly it's a real hard start. So we're gonna mess with that. So today I'm feeling in the mood. I'm tired, wore out from yesterday, but I'm gonna work on this some more. So I spoke to the gentleman who was originally going to buy the engine, and then I kind of, told him about it. I almost sent him some pictures, but he is still interested in it, mostly for bolts and parts and and whatnot. So we're still going to possibly find this heap a new home to him. So we're going to cross that bridge as we go. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead today and get the mirrors off. Probably sit in this nasty thing and work on getting the dash tore apart. Possibly the door panels off. And I'm debating on keeping these and the rear window. Definitely keeping the windshield if I can get it out without breaking it. But I'm debating on about keeping these. There's not a lot of the coupes left anymore, at least that I'm aware of. So my thought process is, as these age, these are going to get harder and harder to find, and they're probably never going to reproduce this. So there's a good chance that I will keep the quarter windows. Space, as mentioned before, is my biggest enemy, but they're not that big. The rear window is going to be the hardest one to keep. So I got the outer taillights off of it the other night. I'm going to take the trunk light off, and then this can finish being filled up because it's already started. We're going to finish filling that up and get it ready to go. So we'll test the fan. I'll pull the radiator. I'm not going to keep the radiator. My buddy and I discussed that the other day. So I was thinking keeping the radiator, and if a person needed one later down the road, we have this one that can be record. But then it's like, unless theirs is completely junk, why wouldn't they just record their own instead of buying one from us to have record? So unfortunately, I believe these radiators are still available new as of today, and that could change at any time. But unfortunately, this one's probably going to find its way into the scrap pile. We're going to go ahead and pull the engine harness, even though it's completely chewed up by mice. As I said before, we're going to utilize some of the wiring ends for test beds. So we'll just go ahead and yank it all out, and we'll sort through it at a later date. We'll probably throw it in the pile of all the other junk we have around here, and it'll sit for months and months and months. But it is what it is. So I'm going to get some music turned on, and we're going to get busy, see what we can get done today. All right, so just like everything else, plans changed throughout the day. I was working on the Lebaron, and my buddy came and was like, hey, let's go get a car. So here we are. This is going to be an interesting one. It's been sitting here for 20 years, but it's a cool car. It's worth saving, worth dragging out. 1969 Coronet, 2-door hardtop, garage find, and it's rough, but it's definitely worthy of bringing home. So now we're trying to figure out how to get it out of here, and so we can get to it to where we can work on it. Little 6-cylinder automatic on the column, bench seat car, nice red interior. So, door still shuts. If nothing else,
I'll know probably later this afternoon.
This is probably worth $10,000 by itself, the dust. All right, let's get a game plan. All right, so I got to drive the truck. We got it to move a little bit. We're going to keep trying to get it out of here. Chain just came off the trailer, so rehook it. This is a task. Well, it took air. See how long it holds it. This tire is actually going to take air. Probably shouldn't be this close to it though. I can't believe it's taking air. Goodyear. Well, we got it out this far. Go ahead, Jamie. I thought you were waiting on me.
Yeah.
All right, we got it out this far. She's pretty. But again, it is what it is. We had to fight the right front drum to get it off to try to get that tire rolling because it was stuck. I wonder what that says. We'll have to try to clean that off later. We're going to try to get air in the right front tire as much as we can and see if the old winch will pull it on there. Well, it's going. We got one wheel dragging, right rear. Oh, hey, guess what? She's rolling. So all the wheels are rolling now. It's going to be real easy now. We're golden. Tire's got enough air in it. Let's see how quick before the compressor kicks back on. Old Tundra's bringing home another one. Yep. Look at this. Left, just a hair. Boy, she's rough. Left, just a hair. Left, just a hair. You're almost to the fender over here. She's a big car. She ain't like them little ones we're used to hauling. You ready? This is a big girl. Put a little weight on there. That's about all you get. And there it is, on the trailer. Finish buttoning down the trunk lid. Strap her down. And yeah. I'm glad you bought this and not me. Nah. It's a good one. They're all fixable if you got enough money. Money and knowledge. I ain't got neither. But that's all right. I like the red interior. Plymouth emblem, Dodge emblem. Cool car. Cool car, cool car. Even got the old Playboy garter in there. The mice, little house. They're moving days today. Time to go. Wonder what that is. Wonder if that's for the middle lap belt, maybe. I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know what that is. If you know what that is, let me know. So, anyway, get this thing strapped down and get it up where it's going and get it back off the trailer.